Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever stood up from your favorite chair and felt your knees buckle? Have you reached for the morning paper only to realize you needed both hands just to push yourself up? That's not just getting old. That's your muscles waving a white flag. And here's the truth. Nobody talks about muscle loss in aging doesn't begin at 80. It starts in your 60s. Silently, 1 pound at a time, one missed breakfast at a time, until the day you can't get out of bed, not because your heart gave out, but because your legs did. The New York Times reported that over 30% of Americans over the age of 65 experience severe muscle weakness, often leading to falls, fractures, and even premature death. And guess what? Most of them didn't even know it was happening. That's why I'm here. After 50 years in the clinic treating veterans, farmers, school teachers, I've learned one powerful truth. You can rebuild your strength. You can reverse sarcopenia, but only if you start now. If you've ever struggled to stand up, if you've ever feared that first step out of bed, leave me a comment below. Type the number 1 if you felt that weakness. Type 0 if not yet. Either way, I want to hear your story. And if this hits close to home, hit subscribe, tap the bell. Let's make sure you don't face this journey alone. The moment you realize it's not just aging. Have you ever looked down at your legs and thought, these don't feel like mine anymore? Maybe you tried to stand up from your recliner and your knees buckled. Maybe you reached for your shoes and had to grunt just to bend forward. You thought, I'm just tired. It's just old age. But deep down, you knew something was off. I want to talk to you. Not the version of you from 10 years ago, not the one that used to mow the lawn, lift your grandkids, and fix the car. I'm talking to the you today, the one who's starting to feel like your body doesn't belong to you anymore. You see, I've been a doctor for over 50 years, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's this: most people don't notice muscle loss until it's too late. It doesn't come with a warning sign. It doesn't knock on your door. It comes slowly, quietly, one skipped breakfast at a time, one extra hour in the recliner, one more I'll walk tomorrow that turns into next week, then next year. They call it sarcopenia, a fancy word but a very real threat. It's the age-related loss of muscle mass and strength, and once it takes hold, it doesn't let go easily. According to the New York Times, more than 30% of Americans over 65 suffer from moderate to severe muscle loss. That's nearly 1 out of every 3 seniors. And most don't even realize it's happening until they fall, until they need a walker, until getting out of bed becomes the first challenge of the day. Let me tell you about Elaine. 74 years old, used to be a dance instructor, the kind of woman who never missed her morning walk. One winter, she caught the flu, stayed in bed for 9 days. No big deal, right? But when she stood up again, her legs didn't listen. Her calves cramped. Her thighs shook. She needed help to reach the bathroom. That's the moment she realized. It wasn't the flu that knocked her down. It was muscle loss. And it can happen to anyone. Even you. Even me. Now, maybe you haven't fallen. Maybe you're still walking fine. But you've noticed the signs. You need the handrail now, even on short steps. You've stopped getting on the floor to play with your grandkids. You catch yourself pushing up from chairs with both arms instead of standing on your own. These are not quirks of aging. These are early warnings, and we need to take them seriously, because once your legs give out, so does your independence. But here's the good news. It's not too late. You're here, you're listening, and that tells me you still want to fight back. If you've ever struggled to get out of bed in the morning, if you've ever feared slipping while reaching for a glass, if your legs cramp up at night, leaving you breathless, then leave a comment below. Type 1 if this feels familiar. Type 0 if not yet. Either way, I want to hear your story. Your words might be the exact wake-up call someone else needs. And if this message is striking a nerve, if something inside you is whispering, yes, this is me, then hit subscribe, tap the bell, and let's take the next step in this journey together. Because I promise you, there is a way back, and it starts right here. Muscle loss begins long before you notice it. You know what's tricky about muscle loss? It doesn't shout, it whispers. And most folks don't hear it until their body's already giving up. It starts in small ways. You stop kneeling in the garden. You avoid carrying groceries. You sit longer after meals. You stop taking the stairs just for today. Then again tomorrow. It's subtle. It's silent. And it's stealing your life one quiet habit at a time. The fancy name is sarcopenia, the age-related decline of muscle mass and strength. It starts as early as age 50, according to Harvard Health Publishing. By age 60, most people are already losing 1% of muscle every year without realizing it. That's 10% gone by 70 and up to 30% by age 80. So when someone says, "I don't understand. I used to be so strong," I tell them, you didn't lose it overnight. You just didn't notice it slipping away. Let me give you a picture. Imagine if you lost 10% of your eyesight every decade. You'd go see an eye doctor in a heartbeat. But when your legs lose 10% of strength, you tell yourself, it's fine. I'm just getting older. And that is the biggest mistake we make. Let me introduce you to Stanley, 69 years old, retired firefighter, the kind of man who always fixed his own roof, even in winter. He came to me not because of a fall, but because he couldn't get up from the toilet without grabbing the sink. He said, "I'm not in pain. I'm just weak." I ran a simple strength test chair, Stan. 5 reps. He barely made 2 and was out of breath. That's not normal aging. That's sarcopenia in full effect. And here's the real danger. Once strength drops below a certain point, even daily activities become dangerous. Getting out of the bathtub, lifting a gallon of milk, catching yourself if you trip. Your independence relies on strength more than anything else. Not blood pressure, not cholesterol. Muscle is the engine of your body. Lose it and you stall. According to a report from Johns Hopkins, sarcopenia increases the risk of falls by over 2 times. And people with low muscle mass are 5 times more likely to end up in long-term care. Let that settle. Not 5%. 5 times more likely to lose your independence. Still think it's just old age? Let me ask you. Do you avoid kneeling down because getting back up feels hard? Have you stopped walking outside alone? Not because you're tired, but because you're afraid. These are not coincidences. These are red flags. Your body is speaking. It's time we start listening. Tell me in the comments, what's something you used to do easily that's become harder lately? It could be climbing stairs, getting dressed, even standing for too long. Your honesty might help someone else realize they're not alone. Muscle loss doesn't just steal strength, it steals your life. Let's stop pretending this is just about being tired. This is deeper. This is about losing control of your body, one forgotten step at a time. You used to get up and walk to the mailbox. Now you wait until someone else brings it in. You used to climb the stairs without thinking. Now even one step feels like a risk. That's not just aging. That's sarcopenia, the silent breakdown of muscle that's slowly robbing you of freedom, independence, and dignity. According to the National Institute on Aging, after age 60, your body starts to lose up to 1% of muscle mass per year. By the time you're 70, you could be down 10% or more, and you may not even notice it until you fall. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that every 11 seconds, an older adult in the United States is treated in the emergency room for a fall. Every 19 minutes, one of those falls becomes fatal. Let that sink in. Not just pain, not just broken bones. Fatal, all because we didn't pay attention to leg cramps at night, to need both hands to rise from the couch, to brush off those wobbly moments as just getting old. Let me tell you about Gerald, 71, Marine veteran, tough as nails until he wasn't. He slipped in his garage. No big deal. Right. Just a sprained ankle. But Gerald stayed off his feet for 2 weeks. Didn't move. Didn't stretch. Barely ate. By week 3, his legs couldn't support him. He needed a walker. Then came the chair, and 6 months later, he had to sell the second floor of his home because stairs became impossible, all from one moment that most people would have ignored. And it's not just the physical decline, it's the emotional collapse. The moment you feel trapped in your own home, the shame of asking your son to help you up from the toilet, the fear of showering alone. That is what sarcopenia does. And it doesn't knock loudly, it creeps in softly, silently, while you're distracted by aches, pills, and birthdays, until suddenly you're not getting out of bed anymore. Now let me ask you, have you caught yourself hesitating before walking across a wet floor? Do you avoid crowded places because you fear being knocked off balance? Do your legs feel heavy at the end of the day, even when you've barely moved? These aren't minor details. They're your early warning system. Your body is telling you, I'm losing this battle unless you help me. So tell me, what was the moment you realized you weren't as strong as you used to be? Type it in the comments, because your story can wake someone else up before it's too late. This is not the end of the road. It's the start of your comeback. Let me say this clearly. If you've made it to this part of the video, you are not someone who gives up easily. You care. You're still fighting. And that matters more than any diagnosis. Muscle loss doesn't mean defeat. Sarcopenia isn't your destiny. And age is just the number on your driver's license. It doesn't define your strength, because strength isn't only in the legs. It's in your will to rise, to try, to change. I've treated thousands of patients. I've seen men in their 90s rebuild muscle, not because they had better genes, but because they refused to stay in bed one more morning. So here's my question to you. Will you be the person who says it's too late, or will you be the one who stands up literally and says, not yet? Your comeback begins today? And I want to walk that road with you. Comment below and tell me, what's one small action you'll take tomorrow to fight muscle loss? Will it be 5 minutes of walking one extra egg at breakfast, standing up 10 times from your chair? No step is too small, but doing nothing is the only failure. And if you found this video helpful, hit subscribe, tap that bell, because next up, I'm showing you exactly how to stop sarcopenia in its tracks. In the next episode of Dr. Muscle, we dive into sarcopenia, how to stop age-related muscle loss. I'll break down what causes it, how to detect it early, and the 5 daily habits that will change your life. You don't want to miss it. This isn't about surviving your 60s, it's about conquering your 70s.